This is the Bottom Shot Podcast.
Pulvereri is up high. They come out of turn number 4. Stutter between the turns. The fans come to their feet.
It is Ted Christopher still in command. Keith Rocco right there on his back bumper.
Bringing Stafford Motor Speedway's past and present together.
They are side by side running for the finish line. It's a photo finish.
Deep into turn number 3. He goes in deeper than most. Christopher is in trouble. It is Keith Rocco to slingshot to the bottom, and he'll take down the win.
A Stafford Motor Speedway production where we will hear from the personalities from the past and present that found success on the legendary half-mile oval.
The scoreboard shows goose eggs as they wait. It's Pulvereri. He wins it by inches over Richie Evans in the Spring Sizzler.
Unbelievable chain of events.
Now, here are your hosts, Paula Root and Kyle Rickey.
The Bottom Shot Podcast is on the road again today in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, just outside the main terminal of the Bradley Airport here, just outside of Hartford, and in the shop of our Street Stock champion for 2021, Frank Litwell Jr. And Frank, first off, congratulations on yet another championship, number 3 in the Street Stock division. And I know that was something that you were, that was one of the main goals for you going into the season, is to get that record-tying 3rd title.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. That was the goal going in, win a bunch of races and get the chip, and we did it.
So let's talk about how kind of this car and this team came together. You know, you had 2 titles a couple of seasons ago with your own operation, and then you went to the limiteds and you did some other stuff, and then you came back and you partnered up with Bill Staves, and you put together a really dominant couple of seasons. Tell us the the backstory to how this car came together.
Well, this car was on the tour, on that Street Stock tour when we were running the tour, and the tour kind of fell apart, so it was like really practical for Billy to just go to Stafford because we're not far away from it. It's a good division, especially once some rule changes were made. And he ran it for, I want to say like 10 times, and then he had to go on vacation. He did something, and he asked if I wanted to get in the seat to get some feedback on the car. And the rest is kind of history. I never really left it. Kept getting better and better. And then he said, we're going to race until we win. And we didn't win until the last race of the season. And then after that, he said, you want to go for a ship next year? And I said, of course. So, yeah.
And it worked out for you.
It did.
We'll talk more about 2021 in a moment. But after you won your Street Stock title in 2014, 2015. Then you moved up, limited late models. How did that go for you?
We struggled with that car like all year, honestly. That was a tough division. Everybody was so close, and it was a learning curve. It was just like a little bit of a jump, like one division. For me, it was a big learning curve, and just figuring everything else out. But it was a good time. It was good learning. But after that, I wanted to travel, so. Okay. That's when we decided to go the tour route because that was just kind of on the rise. So we did that for a few years, and it fell apart.
And you came back to Stafford.
Came back home.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the rule changes a few seasons ago. These cars in the past have had a restrictor plate. You won 2 titles with that old style of package on these cars. Explain to kind of the listener, A, what changed, and then B, the difference between the 2014 title and now, and kind of behind the wheel.
So when we were running that, we had automatic transmissions. You could run a built 305 or a crate motor. We had the built 305. It was a lot more maintenance because we had 2 of them. We'd swap out. We had to do valve springs more often, just everything. But then we had drum brakes in the rear. I think that's really like it. But now you open them up, you got more stopping power. You got a stick shift instead of an automatic. You got no restrictor plate with a 350 instead of a 305. So for me, it was much more like the tour car, honestly. I mean, yeah.
And with that, it changed in the last 2 seasons. I think the division has really come into its own. With a lot of great action. I mean, we can go. The list is long of all the great battles from this season, and I imagine we'll touch on a few of them. But talk to us about the Street Stocks in general. Like they're kind of like the true local racer class.
Yeah, it's affordable to get into, honestly. Like, if you're not into racing but you want to be, you can get one of these fairly cheap and go out there and learn a lot, because there's such a big field. You get the real experience of, being a race car driver. It's just a really good time.
You mentioned the big field, 26 to 30 cars, I felt like, every week for the street stocks, and yet you finished outside of the top 5. I think it counted twice, including the season finale where you finished 6th, and then a mid-pack run early in the event or early in the season. How, I guess, is the question. What was the key to that consistency all season long? And you started mid-pack more times than not. I mean, you were starting well outside of the top 10.
Yeah, I think if I saw we were starting 12th, I got excited because, you finish up there, that handicap thing, you're always starting in the back. But really with that, you look at the lineup and you kind of see where something might happen and just kind of take your time and get through it. Also, another thing, we used to run 15 laps. Now we get 20, so I can take that 5 laps and kind of let things sort themselves out, and then just kind of pick at it and hope for a caution at the right time, and then you're in the top 5, and now you work.
Now it's time to battle. So let's talk about a couple of these battles. I think
some classics.
Some classics. I think the one that comes to mind for me is that extra distance event where you and Chris Meyer swapped the lead. I don't even know how many times, but it was incredible to watch. Those battles all summer with Chris, with Travis, with Nick, excellent.
Yeah, it's right on the verge of wrecking each other, honestly. But that's what you can do you can get away with that with these cars with a certain amount of drivers. Which in those last 5 laps, when the things sort themselves out, it's just knowing who you're around, and you got to give what's going to be given to you. Race people how they race you, and try not to push the limit too much.
Do one of those battles that Paul was mentioning stick out for you, whether you came out on top or whether you didn't come out on top?
Yeah, that 30-lapper was definitely, like, I don't normally race like that. I try and keep it clean, but I don't know. Now you're battling for the biggest race of the year for us, and it's at that point in the season where we're kind of at each other's throats a little bit. We have the history of having these battles. So that one, to me, I think I got out of that happy that we didn't wreck, happy that we won, of course, but also like we can't be doing this every single week, and we can.
I was asking
but
for
I feel
more.
like you did.
Yeah, I mean, you did, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
What was interesting is that you and Chris battled a lot at the beginning of the year, and then in comes some other drivers who kind of caught up.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Travis he was kind of always there, but he finally stepped up and was right in the mix every time you probably took a look in the mirror. Nick Hovey comes out of nowhere. He grabs a win, grabs a couple. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, then you had like Burt in the 9 car. He got a lot better. Everybody really did catch up at the beginning. It was like a handful of us, and then halfway through, it was just getting harder and harder to make your way through that pack, and you had a lot more people sticking their noses in there and learning how to race like we do.
Yeah.
So.
We said it was fun to watch, and I know it got a lot of traction on social media. Guys like Matt Dillner would tweet, I feel like every Friday night, about the street stock battles at Stafford. Was it as much fun behind the wheel?
Yeah, I think yes. But it was also, I was very focused on just doing the same exact thing every single week. So I wasn't, I would always watch it after, and I'd be like, what are we doing? Like some of these races, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and to expand on that, it's got to be pretty cool to see a guy like Matt Dillner, call you out by name on Twitter. He's got like 50,000 followers. He's a pretty popular guy. Calling out, that was an awesome battle between Frank Latois, Chris Meyer. I saw it all on Flow. I'll wait till next Friday. That's gotta feel pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't. Right after the races, I'm not on my phone. So my buddy's like, dude, you gotta get on there and you gotta chirp him back.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'll do that a little later. And then, but that Flow racing thing, that's like, it's incredible how many people watch that. Like my grandmother, she went on vacation one day and she had the shirt on, and somebody's like, oh, you know that guy? And she's like, yeah, a little bit. And she's in like Tennessee. She's
awesome.
like, yeah, we watch it every week. So it's great exposure.
something that I think we're looking to continue for the long term at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Talk about your championship run. You were obviously in the title hunt all season. Came down to you and Chris in the closing week. At what point do you start looking at points?
Last year, you look at who's in and just, I don't know. I'm a big points guy. I've never really won this many races, but I've always been there. Like even when we won the old ones, I think we had 2-3 wins, but we would always finish in the top 5. So I always think about it. It's like the first race of the year, we finished 5th, but we led like the whole thing. And it was the last turn. We got kind of moved, whatever happened. But I knew in that moment, like those 4 positions, like at the end of the season, that's 8 points. Like, so time to get it back.
That's interesting. That's the first
a lot of
person
math
I've spoken
on,
to is who's thinking about points the entire time, and look, it pays off.
Absolutely. And picking up that championship by 14. I want to talk about, you mentioned that 5th place finish, but then you go on a tear. Second, first, second, first. I mean, 5 weeks in a row, top 2. Is that momentum, and how important is that momentum early in the season to build on those points?
Well, you could say you lit a fire under my buns.
Okay.
You know, you moved me for the win on the first race, and now I finished 5th instead of, I would have been okay for 2nd or whatever, but I had the right rear rolling over on me for the entire lap after. And I think I came in the pits a little upset after that race. I said, Friendly Frank has left the building, and it's only race 1, so good luck. I don't know. That's what it is. It's just keeping yourself motivated, and yeah, getting moved kind of does that.
It was quite a streak after that 5th place run. I mean, top 2 finishes 5 weeks in a row in an extremely competitive division.
Yeah, so 100%. It sounds like you don't want to piss off Frank Latois, or you'll be chasing him for the rest of the season. As the kind of season progressed, it kind of was pretty clear it's going to be you and Chris battling at the top. How long, how far in, did it appear that it's going to be just you guys? I know there were some other guys that were always in the mix still, but still, like at the end of the day, 20 laps, it's going to be between these two. And at the end of the season, that was kind of the expectation. When did that kind of come into picture?
It wasn't long. Maybe not even 10 races in, because a couple of the guys who were up there speed-wise every week had a couple of DNFs where if my worst finish is 5th at that point, that's not a DNF. If Chris hasn't finished out of the top 4, we kind of separated ourselves pretty early, honestly. And then you just kind of wait. You got to expect in a 20-race season somebody's going to have something go wrong. And I was the first one to have it go wrong, so I fought back to get the points lead, and then we had a DNF because of it was an electrical issue. The car it wouldn't fire anymore. So I think we finished like 18th, something like that. And then, it didn't take long to separate ourselves.
We talked about looking at points. Do you factor in the drop rule when you do all that math as well?
He's thinking. He's a thinking man here. He's thinking about 4 or 2 spots on the first night. So I imagine he had the drop rule in his head.
Of course. And then if I have the first drop, and he doesn't have any, and I'm up in the points, then why wouldn't he just wipe me out? You got to think like that. So you can't push the issue too soon, because you don't want. If I give it, you're going to get it. So
interesting.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Interesting. He's a thinking driver.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the night you spun out, lap 2, or you got spun, or I don't know. There was an incident.
I came down.
Okay, there was an incident, and you just drive back to the field and you win the damn race.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, honestly.
Was that Friendly Frank there? Probably not.
No, that was me. So when I did that, and I did come down on Tyler. I know I did a little bit, going into the turn at a bad spot when I should have just taken the high road, and I made a mistake. And I was sitting there pretty much like the worst position you can be in, everybody ripping around you. And I didn't get hit. And then I kept it going. No real damage, no tire down, no nothing. I looked at the big field and I said, this is scary, but if I can make it through, this is going to be a lot of fun. And then really, I think it was a restart where we got a good time to restart. It's like 5 to go or something. And I think it was like 5th. And a couple guys strung it out. And then it was just keep digging. You look. I've actually learned at this point, at least in these things, coming out of 4, I can look over and see what lap we're on. So do that, and it's like, all right, I can do this. You got 3 laps left. They're kind of battling momentum. I'm not losing momentum. They are. And just getting lucky. Honestly, a lot of luck.
Bring us through the championship night. I know you were celebrating in victory lane, the championship, but a little bit dejected because the car wasn't up to what we were seeing the prior 19 races.
Yeah. As we were saying, everybody else got faster. So if we're a little tick off, that's 5 positions now instead of 2 or 3, and that was our worst finish of the year, realistically, where we finished. So, yeah, I wasn't thrilled with that. I think my dad came over right after when everybody celebrated, and I was like, that change did not work. He said, shut up, smile. I'm like, all right. But, yeah, just good to keep the nose clean. You have a little bit of a buffer. So if he wins, you have to finish here and just drive.
The analysis is deep for Frank Latour.
Indeed.
I see that. He's got
Talk to these guys.
The calculator is out at all times. So we're sitting here in the shop here, and we're looking at a modified next to us. Beautiful white and orange with the Frank Latour style. Tell us about what's going on here with this mod and what the plans are for the future.
It's a learning curve. It's crazy. To go from one of these things to one of those things, it's like tour mod, full-blown tour mod, and we were going to these tiny little bull ring tracks against the best guys, in the world at what we do. Like get in the line, and I look, I've never had a spotter. Got one of my buddies, I go, hey, that guy in front of me, that's Doug Kobe. And he's like, good, stay with him. I did not stay with him. But we ran a few tour shows, tried to qualify for the big ones. We went to Seekonk the first race. There was like 48 cars there. I'm sitting there thinking, like, what am I even doing?
Yeah.
But it's still in one piece. It got better and better every single time we went out. We learned so much this year in 4 times. And next year it's just going to be the same. I really want to take it to some open shows, at Stafford. We were going to, but to bring this and that and be able to focus on it with one team, we had to focus on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just taking more laps. That's all I want. I just want to take more laps in it. That's all that's going to make you better.
So what's the hope for 2020? Will we see this as much? Or 2022. Wow, time flies. Will we see this as much as that?
This is for sale.
Oh.
This is for sale.
Buy a winning car.
You could. It, hit a Bill Staves. You'll probably see this more than this, which for me, it's a big momentum sport, right? So if you're feel like you're at the top of your game, it's time to make a move. And for me, I think if I don't take a jump right now, I may never have the opportunity to again. So that's the idea behind it.
Well, maybe we'll see you attempt to qualify for the 50th annual Spring at the Sizzler, and you can add your name to the long list of drivers who have attempted the big one.
Might as well attempt, right?
Yeah.
It's here.
Before we let you go, 3rd championship in the street stock. What does it mean to tie Norm Sears for that record right now, which is set 3 for the amount of titles in that single division?
Yeah, before I started driving cars and we were in go-karts, I would watch Norm and he was tearing it up. So to be in that kind of company it's crazy. Never mind to think how many people have won 3 championships in any division, which I know it's only a street stock, but it's really cool. It's something you can't put into words.
Well, on behalf of all of us at Stafford, congrats on another title.
Thanks, guys.
It's a well-deserved, and you're in the history books at Stafford as a 3-time street stock champion, and be there forever.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the time.